I've got to run this Michelle Obama soundbite by you, Glenn. It's Michelle Obama Day for you. She sat down with Conan O'Brien, and you're going to be shocked to learn she feels that there's a double standard when it comes to first families, depending on skin color. Watch.
I could tell when you and I took a trip once to visit a big, giant military base in the Middle East. You and your team were being so careful that everything is done by the book. You know, there's no perks. And I was really impressed with that. And it occurred to me then, oh, I see. Everyone feels we need to be so far beyond.
It wasn't even a feeling. It was the truth.
It's the truth. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's absolutely no way that the behavior in this current administration would have been accepted by the first Black family in the White House.
Right.
You don't get here without being damn near perfect.
Yeah.
We don't get to fail 2, 3, 5, 7 times. We don't get to file bankruptcy over and over again and still be considered a successful business person.
Right.
You know,
right.
We don't get to not be at the top of the class. You know, every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed.
Okay. So she behaved on her best at a military base because she's Black and she couldn't fall below the standard. That's why she had to behave so well while visiting troops serving in the military on their territory. It's because she's Black. That's why she had to act so well, Glenn.
I mean, that was a hard clip to get through, Megyn. Just tell you, anything for you, I will do it. But that was not easy because it wasn't just her. Like, the whole thing was set up by Conan being the good, white, progressive ally, basically saying it was his thesis. He was like, first of all, it was very funny because he was basically saying what The Atlantic said about Pete Buttigieg. Like, you were like perfect to a fault. Everything about it was so perfect. And he's like, and then I realized, like, that's because you're Black. And she's like, absolutely. And this, this grievance is from her I don't understand why. Is there nobody near her who says, Michelle, you're one of the richest and most famous women in the world. You spend your time traveling around the world on like Richard Branson's yacht and, with Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos in the most luxurious places. You have a gigantic estate in Martha's Vineyard in a bigger mansion or a huge mansion, multi-million-dollar mansion in Washington. You were the first lady. Your husband was the president of the United States. Every door is open for you. Maybe like just tune down a little bit on the constant grievance because you're not really like a major figure of sympathy. But she can't. Americans twice voted for them. They were in the White House for 8 years. Before that, he was elected senator out of nowhere by the state of Illinois. And you would think that, she spent the first half of her life like under Jim Crow or in chains or something.
Yes,
the way she speaks. And it's really resentment producing.
She's like, oh, we have to get perfect grades in order to be acceptable. The truth is exactly the opposite, and we all know that. Affirmative action is there to help Black Americans like Michelle Obama, who didn't get perfect grades, wind up at Princeton. That's what happened in her case, and she knows it. She did not have to get perfect grades. In fact, this system bent over backward to help her get into our most elite institutions, despite the fact that she failed to do that. Trump and his bankruptcies happened because he spent his life for decades as a businessman, taking massive risks in real estate, one of the most volatile industries we have. And he played the system just like all people in that business do, something she would know nothing about because she'd done nothing prior to becoming first lady. She spent a few years at a white shoe law firm in Chicago. Sorry, look, I've done that. I've done that literally the exact same thing. It's fine. It's a respectable way to spend your living, your life, but you're not a woman of the world coming out of that. You haven't taken big risks like President Trump did when he was a private citizen. So she would know nothing about filing for bankruptcy as a corporate tool to take care of debt and so on. She has no idea what she's talking about. Everything for her reduces to a racial grievance.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tiresome. And, I heard Obama himself talking the other day about his library, and he was talking about how there's going to be a whole wing of the library for what people really want to see, which were Michelle's dresses. She spent, 8 years. It wasn't like she innovated the position of first lady and took on, she did some stuff on like children eating well, which is fine. It's a good cause, like not to be obese and to exercise. But it wasn't like she was some driving force or intellectual pioneer in that position. She really was most known for her love of fashion, and her relationship with the world of fashion. That's really what she most became known for. And also, the Obama presidency was far, far, far from perfect. They bailed out the banks. They let huge millions and millions of people go underwater, get evicted from their home because of their inability to pay mortgage. They had a gigantic fund. All those drone attacks and wars overseas, they destroyed Libya, and he got reelected. So where's this framework that if you're Black, you have to be perfect in order to succeed when her own husband is a living, breathing testament of the falsity of that?
The other piece of it is, Glenn, like you would think as first lady, all these years later, if somebody says to you, I remember I was at a military base with you. And so both of these two, what Conan O'Brien, I was waiting for him to say was, maybe you were so great with the troops. The way you guys interacted, it seemed so authentic to me, like how much you loved them. Or could you believe how badass those guys were? They were huge and they were badass MFers. Or for her, even not having it teed up that way, to go there. Like that's the normal instinct by most patriots, to make it about the guys and the gals who you saw at the military base. But both of them were determined to make it about her, and not just her, but about racial grievance, again, with some slips in, some digs at Trump. It's just she's so small-minded. This is the only lens through which she sees her experience as first lady. There's no gratitude, not even for the troops, not a word about how tough they were, or amazing they were, or how selfless they were in their sacrifice. Just her sacrifice in having to be first lady for 8 years and deal with the abject racism of the country. I've had it with this bitch. I'm sorry, but like I am done listening to her fucking whine with the help of, as you point out, little white liberals who are begging for her to pat them on the head.
I don't know about you, Megyn, but I kind of do actually. And I can say for myself, like, whatever I have in this world, I'm constantly grateful for it. Like I'm aware of how blessed I am. Like I know that I have things that other people don't. And the idea that I would go around like not just complaining to myself or in my private realm, but like demanding that the public listen to me as I complain about the unfairness of my life. It's like, yes. If you're poor, if you are downtrodden, you've had a lot of tragedy in your life, I get it. Like, I understand why people like that are angry. You can't have a more blessed life than the one that she's had. And yet she as you say, she's there's no gratitude, there's no humility, yet she can't even pretend to like remember that visit to the base being about her being impressed with overseas troops and the sacrifices they make and the courage they make, which is like politics 101. No, it's about how unfair it was that she had to be so regimented because she was Black. That is, malignant narcissism doesn't even capture that at all. It's something way beyond.
Truly, I visited military bases. You go, you do walk away thinking, OMG, I don't know how they do it. That's been my number one impression. Just, oh my God, they're so strong. They're so dedicated. The stories they tell you, if you're inquisitive, Michelle, if you actually bother to speak with the troops about their experiences, you might learn about what they've had to deal with, about I remember one guy talking to me about the pterodactyl size mosquitoes that they had to deal with when they were out on their morning 5K in some of the deployments, like just things you wouldn't think of. You think of the enemy, you think of gunfire, you don't think of things like that, like pterodactyl size mosquitoes. In any event, she's always about herself. She reduces everything to race. I'm sick of her shtick. That was her podcast today. This is like, to this day, it's 2026 and she's still bitching about her time as first lady. Get over it. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. Okay, $20,000 got you 33 ounces. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. That would have been a very good investment. And that's why so many smart Americans do diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. They're thinking about what's going to happen in the next 20 years. And it's also why you should consider buying gold from Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth. And today, it is a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text MK to the number 989898, and that will give you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation. It's just useful information from which you can make a decision. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Again, text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.